In tonight's headlines, a houseman at Pamela Youde Nethersole Eastern Hospital has mistakenly inserted a feeding tube into a patient's bronchus, causing lung damage to the patient. Hong Kong stocks rebound ahead of the long weekend, as stronger fiscal measures from the Ministry of Finance are on the horizon. And wage earners in the city will be expecting an average pay rise of 3.6% next year.
A 76-year-old patient has suffered lung damage and was sent into intensive care unit after a feeding tube was mistakenly inserted in his airway rather than his stomach at a Hong Kong hospital, the hospital authority said today. The patient was admitted for a colonoscopy at Pamela Youde Nethersole Eastern Hospital yesterday, but medical staff wrongly injected medication via a feeding tube into the lung for an hour, according to the authority. The patient later developed abdominal pain and shortness of breath and was transferred to the intensive care unit. Speaking to reporters at the hospital, Nethersole, chief executive of the Hong Kong East Cluster, said the patient is now in stable condition. She attributed the incident to a houseman's misreading of X-ray image due to a lack of clinical experience. So said, the authority has formed a committee to investigate the incident, and it will deliver a report within 8 weeks.
Hong Kong stocks managed to rebound ahead of the long weekend after 2 straight days of declines as investors were buoyed by the hope of stronger fiscal measures from the Ministry of Finance and the Chinese Central Bank's 500 billion yuan swap facility. The benchmark Hang Seng Index at one point rallied almost 1,000 points before finishing the day up by 614 points to close at 21,251. The total turnover for the day amounted to $325.3 billion. This week is a shortened week as Chongyuan Festival on Friday put an early end to the stock market. The city's benchmark dropped over 1,400 points for the week, marking its largest weekly decline in 2.5 years. Mainland insurance companies got a boost from the central bank's 500 billion yuan swap facility today, which allow eligible brokers and insurers to swap liquid assets. China Life rose 4.71% and Ping An gained almost 6%. Stocks of new energy vehicles saw support, with Geely surging 9.34%, ranking as the second best performing blue chip, while XPeng rose 8%, BYD and NIO both climbed some 4%. Meanwhile, mainland property companies also significantly rebounded, Lawn 4 Group surging 6.7% and Sunac China soaring 17.33%.
A survey revealed that wage earners in the city on average got a lower pay rise this year compared to last year, but they will be expecting a slightly higher increment next year. This man, who works in the jewelry industry, said he got a pay rise of around 10% this year, and he was satisfied with the increase. And this man said he got a 5% rise and wished for a higher increase. The research, conducted by the Institute of Human Resources Management, surveyed 186 companies based in Hong Kong across 12 industries in the first 3 quarters of the year, covering over 100,000 full-time employees. Among the surveyed firms, 91.7% implemented salary increases this year, the least since the post-epidemic era, while 8.3% opted to freeze salary. The average pay rise for the year was 3.2%, marking a drop of 0.6 percentage points from the previous year. But the real wage growth was only 1.4% after adjusting for inflation in the first 3 quarters. Meanwhile, the survey expected that an average salary increment of 3.6% would be seen next year, with 63% of firms planning to boost wages and 3% predicting wage freezes. Lawrence Hong, president of Hong Kong Institute of Human Resources Management, said He is cautiously optimistic about the outlook of wage growth, as some industries such as catering, services, and tourism have intensified their efforts to attract talents. The current data suggested that the worst time is over and the dawn is upon us, Hong added. Evelyn Bai, Cable News.
In the latest update regarding the abrupt closure of the local gym chain Physical Fitness, another outlet has officially reopened in Mongkok today under the new name Perfit. The relaunch is part of a broader takeover plan by medical beauty group Perface, which announced just a week ago its acquisition of both the Mongkok and Wenchai branches of the now-defunct Physical. The Wenchai location had resumed operations shortly after, but the Mongkok branch took some time to give the gym house a renovation for better user experience. Though not receiving notice from either Perfit or Physical, former customers came early this morning, eager to discover whether their unredeemed services would be honored or if they would encounter further complications with their contracts. This customer said they can use old membership cards to access new facilities, for now, without additional procedures. Upon reopening the Wenchai branch, Perfit has indicated that it is preparing a data transfer consent form for old members to sign in order to access their information. While Perfit was only dealing with transfers of memberships from Physical for now, it said it is developing new fee schedules for incoming customers. In addition, the new investor also said they are getting in touch with property owners of other former Physical outlets, seeking rent reductions and aiming to reopen at original locations. Quintin Yang, Cable News.
Fans of British rock band Coldplay faced a frenzied scramble for tickets to the band's coming concerts in the city, with all tickets snapped up within 90 minutes of the opening of general sales. The ticket sale kicked off at 10 a.m. this morning. Upon accessing the CityLine website, users were met with a waiting screen that kept refreshing. Our reporter managed to enter the sales page after 2 minutes, only to discover that all seating categories for the 3 concerts on April 9th, 11th, and 12th were marked as temporarily no ticket available. After a while, the most expensive $6,599 tier was even sold out. Pre-sale tickets, which are available since Monday, have also sold out, with some appearing online, scalped at inflated prices. A total of 7 price tiers were offered for the rock band's concert in Hong Kong, ranging from $399 to $2,099 for both seated and standing options. For fans willing to spend more, say for instance between $2,799 and $6,599, they could enjoy enhanced experiences, including early entry, behind-the-scenes tours, and professional stage photographs. Coldplay's concerts are expected to be among the most significant events following the debut of the Kai Tak Sports Park, which is set to officially open in the first quarter of next year.
Two historic buildings, Lo Pan Temple in Kennedy Town and the residence of Tang Pak Khao in Yuen Long, have been officially designated as monuments by the Development Bureau. Lo Pan Temple, dedicated to Lo Pan, the patron saint of Chinese builders, is located at Qingling Terrace. Originally constructed in 1884, it was reconstructed in 1928. The temple is renowned for its exquisite hand-painted murals, intricate grey sculptures, wood carvings, and ceramic decorations, with lifelike ceramic sculptures embellishing the roof. Meanwhile, in Kam Tin, the residence of Tang Pak Khao was built in the early 20th century. This single-story rectangular building made of blue bricks features a 3-story annex. Its architectural design beautifully fuses Chinese and Western styles, with most of the original features and decorations meticulously preserved.
China has agreed to resume imports of live lobsters from Australia by year-end, said Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese following his meeting with Premier Li Qiang today on the sidelines of global leaders' meetings on East Asia cooperation in Vientiane. The announcement marks the end of a 4-year-long ban that once cost Australian exporters more than 20 billion Australian dollars a year. It was also the latest of a series of official and unofficial trade barriers that Beijing has agreed to lift since Albanese's centre-left Labour Party government was elected in 2022.
I'm encouraged by the progress that we have made between Australia and China's relationship in producing stabilisation to the benefit of both of our nations and with the objective of advancing peace and security in the region.
He said the resumption will be just in time for the Chinese New Year, and this will be welcomed by the people engaged in the live lobster industry. The country leader also assured that improvements in relations with China have been achieved without compromising Australian interests. Though there was no direct comment on the issue from Li, he did acknowledge the steady advancement of China-Australia ties, saying the progress indicates a promising bilateral relationship as long as the two sides continue to work towards a common goal. Beijing first ended trade with Australia in 2020 on a range of commodities including lobster, coal, wine, barley, beef, and wood, as diplomatic relations plumbed to new lows. But Li said during a state visit to Australia in June that he had agreed with Albanese to properly manage the nation's differences. Quentin Yak, Cable News.
Hurricane Milton was wreaking havoc in Florida in the United States, bringing life-threatening tornadoes and floods after making a landfall near the west coast city Siesta Key with winds exceeding 200 kilometers per hour. Despite its weakening in level from Category 3 to Category 1 after landing, Milton has expanded in size and is still extremely dangerous. Approximately 7 million people have been evacuated and 2.6 million households and businesses are left without power across the state, leaving entire neighborhoods in darkness. Severe rainfall and elevated seawater levels have been reported in multiple cities, with precipitation reaching as much as 460 millimeters and water levels in some areas 2.7 to 4 meters above normal. The highest recorded waves reached 8.5 meters. In the city of St. Petersburg, the roof of the Tropicana Field Stadium was torn off. The hurricane is expected to move across Florida from west to east and emerge from the Atlantic waters by Thursday noon local time. Prior to its landfall, authorities had already received at least 27 reports of tornadoes. More than 100 tornado warnings were issued in a single day, breaking the historical record set in 2017. 4 major bridges in the Tampa Bay area have been closed, and at least 3,600 flights have been cancelled in the past 2 days. Jeremy Chu, Cable News.